Good evening and welcome to From the 80s View. This is Dr. Cedric Brown. Today's guest is Mr. Danny Ferry. Let's bring Danny to the show. Hey, Danny, how are you?
Dr. Brown, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Danny, in a word or two, we're going to talk about some topics. In a word or two, if I said to you, the life of an athletics development professional, what would you say?
Ever changing.
Ever changing. Okay. And then what about excitement in women's athletics in 2024?
Say it's at an all-time high.
All time high. That's great. And Danny, college football is back, man. What do you say about that?
Let's go. I'm ready.
Absolutely. These topics and more on From the 80s View. Let's get it. Welcome back to the show. Before Danny and I get to talking about these awesome topics, I'd like to thank God and give honor to God, who's ahead of my life, because without Him, none of the things that I would do or could do would be possible. As a professional, as a husband, as a father, as a mentor, and I just want to make sure that I give Him all the praise and honor for the things that He's done in my life. And let's welcome back Danny Ferry. Danny is the former account exec at Cision, which is in Maryland. He is the former director of development at SUU, Southern Utah University, the former director of development, athletics, business, health, and science at SUU. And he is currently the senior associate AD for development at Southern Utah University. Again, Danny, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to be on.
So, Danny, tell the audience a little bit about yourself. Where you come from. I know you're East Coaster. Share a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So I grew up in the DC area, in Gaithersburg, Maryland, a suburb of Washington, DC. Always loved sports growing up. Played soccer, basketball, baseball, ran cross country. So I always knew I wanted to get into athletics in some way or another. Played at a Division III school in Arlington, Virginia called Marymount University, played basketball there. And since then, been around athletics for the most part, in the fundraising space in particular, and moved out to Southern Utah here about 3 years ago to work in the development space here. Yeah.
And Danny, you have a really kind of unique background with being in athletics and then going from athletics to administration. And your beautiful wife, she is in athletics as well, right? She's a former student athlete. She's now a coach, coaching at Southern Utah University, doing a fabulous job with those women there. But Danny, you mentioned ever changing in athletics development. So a lot of times we talk about relationships. How important are relationships to the work that you do, Danny?
Extremely important. Yeah, I would say that's the most important piece of athletics development. Obviously, at the end of the day, our job is to raise money for our department, for our teams. But yeah, developing those relationships is extremely important because the more that the donors trust you, or potential donors, prospects trust you, the more likely they are to give.
Sure.
To give again. And we know that there's going to be a lot of changes, right? There's been a lot of changes already, and
absolutely,
as these new changes come along and new things are implemented, it's important that those donors trust you, because they're going to look to you to know and even if we don't have all the answers, they're always going to look to you. So yeah, it'll be really important to for those relationships.
So Danny, and I've had an opportunity to watch you, and I know who you are and the type of person you are. So when I say this, you're gonna kind of blush a little bit, but I thoroughly believe that Danny Ferry is one of those 40 under 40 athletic administrators in this business because of the work that you do and how you carry yourself, Danny, and the wherewithal that you go through to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Now, you just had a really successful alumni event down in St. George, Utah. I think it was in conjunction with some of the other members of our college colleagues and things like that. But it was really successful for athletics for our department. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, we had an alumni lunch down in St. George, Utah, and really, what's important for us as a development group in our department is to grow outside of Cedar City, where we're located. The bigger footprint that we can have, and the more places that we can go, will be important for us to grow. And so, we worked with our admissions, or excuse me, our alumni office on campus
Sure.
to organize that event. Ron Carden and our alumni office, Marie Tuitt here in our department, helped get that organized. And so we had about 100 people show up, which was great. We really need to expand those events. It's always good to be able to go to them. We always ask people to come to our campus, come to our events, but being able to go to them and bring our coaches, our football coach was able to speak, Delane Fitzgerald, our gymnastics coach, Scotty Ballman, was able to speak, as well as President Benson. So really good event for us. Obviously some people to follow up with to help, hopefully get them back to campus eventually to give as well. But yeah, it's just really important for us to grow our footprint outside of Cedar City.
And I was happy to hear about the success that you've had um, with that event. And again, working with you, sometimes you can be a little hard on yourself because you have such high expectations, which are fantastic, and it helps the athletics department because you're establishing that culture of work, and you have a fabulous team that works with you. Danny, you and I have talked, and we were talking in a meeting at some point in time, and we were saying that that event would be a great prospect event. Can you talk to the audience a little bit about what prospect events are and what you look to obtain from those?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have our current donors that we have, and then we always have a prospect, right? I think everyone's a prospect. They're a potential donor at some point, and so that's how we view people. Whether they're going to give us $5 or $1 million, they're always a prospect for us. So. Those types of events are really important to be able to get people engaged on campus, and the alumni falls under me in our athletic department, and so just getting people involved is really important. Getting people to those events that we have external of Cedar City, but also sporting events that we have. So I always try and find ways to be able to connect people to our campus. Find
Sure.
whether they studied. What they studied at school, what sport they played, obviously is important, but any connections that they have to the university is always important. So those are the events that you only get to usually talk to people for a minute or two, but it's finding those key things of why they're
Setting the
showing up.
groundwork. Yep.
Yeah, it takes a lot for people to take time out of their day. They could easily just have lunch at home or go grab something, but to come to that event shows that they're interested. So yeah, it's probably a small window, but it's a window to be able to find what's important to people, and how do we get them to spend even more time with us.
And you do a really good job at that, Danny, and it shows because we've hit goals in the athletics department with regards to fundraising, and we have aspirations to grow even better in that department. And then the last thing on this, Danny, you speak a lot about alumni. How important is it for us to have a growing relationship with on the men's side and the women's side?
Yeah, extremely important. Those are the student athletes that have been here before, right, and are already invested. We have a couple coaches on campus that have been here for 30 years, which is kind of rare across college athletics. But they have those established relationships. But a lot of times, coaches have only been there 5 to 7 years, and so that connection, that natural connection that they have, is gone. And so we need to find a way to be able to bring that back, because they have a passion for SUU. They're able to support our current student athletes, our coaches, and help push us forward, help push current, kids that we're recruiting to
Absolutely.
SUU. And so they're our best advocates because they've already been here. They already know what it takes to succeed at our school, and can support our student athletes the best. So not only do we want them to come back and come to games and those sort of things, but also be able to support our student athletes because they need as much support as we can provide for them. And they're the best. They're the best for that.
And we do have a little bit more time in this segment. I'm being told in my ear by my producer, we have a little bit more time. So Danny, I want you to talk to the audience about our new field level box suites. Talk a little bit about that, Danny.
Yeah, they're really exciting. There's some things that we have down on the field that are some box suites for people to be able to go in and watch the game. One of the good things about going to our away games and for football is that we're able to see what other teams do. And athletics is a copycat business, and so we were able to see some of the other teams that we played against have these on the field. And so basically, you're able to go in, and it's like a kitchen with a view of the football game. You can go
Sure.
in, have some food, drinks. They've got an upper level as well that you can go in and watch the game at an elevated view. So it's like your own little suite that's you can bring up to 20 people in and be able to watch the game right there on the field. So gets the best of both worlds with the comfort and hospitality, but also you're right there. So yeah, it's a big addition for us this year. We're really excited to have those down the field.
Absolutely, and you and your team, along with our fearless leader Doug Newth, and then your leader, our deputy of external Marie Tuitt, have all really, and Todd Brown, internal deputy, have all really got together with alumni, right? And and some partners, and really put that thing together. And we're starting the year out. I know that we have 5 of those box suites, and you and your team, Danny, have sold more than half of those box suites right now, and we're looking, to find individuals that want to participate again, and if you want to, talk about those box suites or get in contact with Danny Ferry, his email is danielferry@suu.edu. Please get in contact with him. It's going to be a great experience for you to come to Cedar City and see the Thunderbirds play some good quality football under the leadership of Coach Delane Fitzgerald. Hey, Danny, stay with me. I got to go pay some bills, but we're going to come back and we're going to talk about some more exciting things on this program.
Yeah.
You are watching From the AD's View. I'm your host, Dr. Cedric Brown. We will be right back after this break.
Renting is everything. It's style at your doorstep, off the runway and into your closet. It's every trend you've been dying to try and every designer you've yet to discover. It's wearing it your way every time and making it count everywhere you go. It's never worrying about what to wear, because something new is always coming your way. That's why renting is everything. New styles, top designers, all for a flat monthly fee. Start your subscription at renttherunway.com.
Slow roasted over hickory fire and pulled by hand. This is the way pit pork has always been done. Pulled pork lovers, rejoice. The smoky old days are back at the Smoke Shack. From the creative team that brought you the Browning Project and Dead by Morning comes a new thriller that will change the way you look at white-collar crime forever. Falling from the Sky.
Water. It's everywhere. We drink it, we bathe with it, we cook with it. Coffee's made with water. Toilets won't flush without it. It's used for washing clothes, dishes, utensils, pots, pans, floors, and our teeth. Plants and crops need water, animals drink it, and fish need it too. And don't forget, we can have a lot of fun in the water. Water. What will we do without it?
Welcome back. You're watching From the 80s View. I'm your host, Dr. Cedric Brown. Before we bring our guest, Danny Ferry, back, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about my book. Had an opportunity to interview some great athletics administrators, my mentors, most of them, and help me put together this book, How Black Men Overcome Racial Barriers in the Status Quo and NCAA Institutions. The narrative inquiry was just that. I received the narratives from individuals on how they were successful as they transitioned from entry level positions in athletics all the way up to what we call the chair, right? The AD spot at Power Five institutions. And three things came out of that: benefits of role models, how those role models have expectations of the mentees, and then whatever perceived racial barriers that there could have been, how they were successful in overcoming those in a positive light, right? Not looking at it from a negative, through a negative mindset or a negative lens. And it was so, I had an opportunity to talk to some of the best in the business and came up with the book that I wrote. You can purchase the book at Amazon.com. Again, the title is How Black Men Overcome Racial Barriers and the Status Quo in NCAA Institutions. If you'd like to learn more about myself or about the book, you can find me on YouTube at Dr. Cedric M. Brown. That's my YouTube channel. If you'd like to see past episodes, you can see it on the same YouTube channel. And it's my tag is at From the AD's View. You can see that. We are here Sunday evenings at 6:40 Central, 7:40 Eastern Standard Time, with a lot of topics and a lot of great guests like the ones that we have today. We also are on the Leon Thomas Radio Network, and you can find that at the leonthomasgroup.com. A lot of exciting content on the radio, and wherever you get your podcast, please check out the leonthomasgroup.com for more exciting opportunities for quality content on all kinds of topics. But let's bring back Mr. Danny Ferry right now. Danny, welcome back. We're going to go right into this because, you and I we get an opportunity to talk about things throughout the day. But the one thing that is exciting to me is the surgence, right? Because our women have always been great. They just haven't had the opportunity to get the recognition that they deserve, right? So, Danny, the Olympics, we as a nation had 80 gold medals, and more than 60 of those were by our women. How exciting is that?
Extremely exciting. Yeah, I mean they carried us throughout the Olympics. We needed we were neck and neck there throughout the Olympics with China on the most amount of gold medals. So particularly track, some of the other sports that were going on. Swimming was dominant as well. So needed them in order to compete there at the top.
Sure. And you have Ledecky. She was absolutely fantastic in what she did. We had our women in basketball, obviously gold medal. They pulled it through. And then the thing about it is, the big controversy about whether Caitlin Clark should play, whether she shouldn't play, and then I don't know if it was a stir up. People, the media tries to paint it more than what it was. Diana Taurasi but Diana Taurasi was just speaking truth. She was like, hold on, wait a minute. She's a rook. And, we've been doing this for 20, and, us women, we're serious about what we do. So hold on. But then last night, Danny, she goes for 29, 6 and 10. So how exciting is, WNBA basketball? And, you have a wife that played, that coaches, what are the conversations like at home when a woman goes off like this on the hoops floor?
Yeah, it's really exciting. I mean, you mentioned before, Haley um, played college basketball here at SUU. She's coached here as well as going into her 7th year at SUU. Um, and yeah, it's really exciting. We're able to watch more and more the more availability that we talk about. You said the opportunity, right? And that's been the biggest piece is the nationally televised games, the draft, everything that's been going on has really just been the culmination of everything.
Sure.
Um, that being able to have those national televised games are really important, just to get eyes on it, right? To see the quality of hoops that's going on. The growth. I'm sure we'll talk about college basketball and how that's fed into it. But yeah,
Absolutely.
we're having conversations all the time. Asia Wilson out in here, just close to here in Las Vegas, who's unstoppable.
Baller.
She
Baller.
just ran through the Olympics, and yeah, it's really exciting to see. You do have the combination, right, of the youth that's coming through, and Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark,
Yep.
and then you have Diana Taurasi, Asia Wilson, Sue Bird just recently retired, but that generation carried for a long time, and it's exciting to see. These young players come through and have that investment come to fruition, right? And I think it starts early, and as now you're seeing the sellouts that the Aces are having, the Liberty, the Fever, right? The
Absolutely.
amount of sales that they're having is really exciting. So I think it's only growing. We talked about how it's at an all-time high earlier, but I'm really excited to see where the future goes, and how this will continue to grow and manifest itself.
So I'm a Liberty fan, right?
Okay.
I'm a New York City kid. I'm a
Yeah.
New York fan of all of them, and so I get an opportunity last year to go down to and watch the Aces and the Liberty in the WNBA Finals. Let me tell you something, Danny. That place was electric, right? I
Yeah.
mean, the on the men's side, we don't know how to throw a party. We don't know how to throw a party. We just feel like, hey, here we have a product. Everybody's going to come see it. They throw a party
Yeah.
on the dub side. On the dub side, they do it right. So if you are watching this episode and you have an opportunity to go to a WNBA game, you need to get there because it's unlike anything that I've ever seen. And my seats were great. The seats were great, Danny. I was sitting right behind, not right behind, but I was sitting behind the Aces bench, and it was electric, man. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
You said something about the media attention. What about the advertising dollars now? I mean, they're so far behind where the men are. Do you see growth in the advertising dollars for women's athletics and women's sports?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at just look at the NCAA Women's Championship game. You look at the WNBA draft, and you look at the sellouts they're having, the TV numbers that are happening. I think it's great in this summer for the WNBA to be for a lot of sports viewers and sports fans. They kind of standalone games, right? An opportunity to watch them. Standalone. So it's really great. And you see the amount of viewership that are setting records, will lead to more dollars going in, right? Higher
Sure.
salaries, more investment in the league, which is going to be at the end of the day, probably the most important piece in keeping our athletes here, right? A lot of our WNBA players go and play in Europe or play overseas in the off season, and then come back and play to make more money. And so I think it'll be really important, as you're talking about those advertised dollars, for that investment to come in and continue to come in, right? So that they can focus on the WNBA, right? We can expand the league. There are going to be a couple new expansion teams here coming up pretty soon. So yeah, it's an exciting time. I think that the more that investment, you'll be able to see the product grow as well. And it takes time, right, to grow. You look back at the NBA history in the ABA and what the investment was needed for that league to survive early on. And so
Thank
I
God
think
for
that
Magic Bird and Jordan, huh?
exactly right. You need those players, those figures to come in and essentially save the game the way that for the NBA and for the WNBA, it's really just to grow it, right? And to have that popularity grow, and we're seeing that now. And I'm excited, yeah, again to see how that continues to grow with addition teams and higher salaries for the players.
Well, it is fantastic, and I know we joke and in a jovial type of tone right now during the show. I'm serious though. If you have not gone to a WNBA game, you really need to go, because once you go, you're going to get the itch and you're going to get the fever. No pun intended. Indiana, you're going to go back and
Yep.
watch the women play at a high level. And the last part of the segment, Danny. You and I work with some fantastic women in athletics. We work with great coaches. Obviously, you're married to one. Our head coach on the women's side, our head coach for volleyball does a fantastic job. Our head coach with softball, she does a fantastic job. And then we work with great administrators, right? We have a great group of, from an executive all the way down to directors. How important is it as we grow in athletics that women get a seat at the table and get to be leaders within athletics, Danny?
Yeah, it's extremely important. Our student athletes are 50% women, so it's really important for our administrators and coaches to be represented in our student athletes. And so you mentioned there, my wife is a coach. I'll advocate for her. She's an excellent coach. Like I said, she's going into her 7th year here. She had 2 ACL injuries in college that limited a little bit on her playing time, but she would be a top 2 or 3 scorer all time. She's in the top 7 at SUU. So I'm just going to brag a little bit about her there. But
Absolutely, sure.
yeah, as far as women in our administration, so I report to Marie Tuitt, who's been in athletics for a while and has been in a variety of roles. She's been in the chair,
Pioneer in the business.
Yeah, absolutely. She's been great. I mean, it's an opportunity for me to be able to learn from someone, right? I'm just, like you said, I've been in and out of athletics specifically. And so to learn from someone that's spent so much time in it has been great. And yeah, like I said before, it's important to have representation from our student athletes and in our coaches and administrators. My team, I've got a director of development, Carly McLean, who is a gymnast at SUU. Excellent gymnast.
Diamond in the rough.
At SUU.
Absolutely. Carly is fantastic.
And then Ruby Hernandez, who was one of our best beam performers on the gymnastics team as well in her time at SUU. And so that's my staff. And it's great because you're able to get different perspectives from people, right? Yep. They approach donors, they approach events differently than I do, right? They're going to think through things differently. I joke with them all the time that they're smarter than me. And so, but that's not a joke, it's true. But I tell them that all the time so that they know, their perspective is really valuable because they're going to view things differently than I do.
Sure.
So getting those different perspectives is really important. So, I think it's great for our student athletes. It's great for our events. It's great for our administration to make us better and push us to grow.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot here a little bit on this last segment. Game of Horse, HORSE. You and Haley. Now I know that you're a knockdown guy. You have a flame on the end of your wrist. In horse, who takes it?
For a number of reasons, I'm going to say she's beating me, and that's the smart thing to do. But it's also right. She's in the gym more too. She's in there every day, usually getting shots up with the team. But she's flat out a better shooter than me. You can look up her stats. Her numbers are way better than mine were. So yeah, it's close though. It's down to that last letter.
It's close. Right.
Letter,
that competitor is close.
I'm not just gonna give that. I'm not gonna give that away.
This is a competitive family. Let's not get it twisted.
But
that's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
Close. We play probably play 15 times. I may beat her 7. She'll beat me 8. But yeah, it's close. But she's got a little bit of the edge. She's a little bit fresher too when it comes to her jumper.
Okay. And you are the staff champion in our little summer games, or our spring games that we had. It was your bucket that made you champion. At the buzzer. You know what I'm saying, with the three. So
Yeah,
we just
yeah, we'll hold
let's
that
not.
title for at least
Yeah,
the next year, and
absolutely.
we'll see where it goes.
Let's not get it twisted. But that's a good answer, though. That's a good answer from a guy who just got married. That's a great answer. Um, the last thing, Danny, college football, baby, it's back.
We're
I
back.
got the AP and the coaches poll have Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Oregon 3, Texas 4, and Alabama number 5. You agree? Don't agree?
Yeah, I mean, you look at recent history, and you see those are teams that are always competing, right? The past 10 years, I think Texas has been in and out of that actually a little bit here, but they made the college football playoff last year, a good game
Mm-hmm.
with Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Georgia. Has taken a little bit of that Alabama feel to them, right? Where
A little
it
bit.
felt like Alabama they're the national champion until you beat them, right?
Right.
Until they aren't at
Right.
the end of the year. And so I think Georgia's taken that over a little bit. Ohio State, it'll be interesting coming in with a new quarterback. We'll see where they land there. That's commonplace now. I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit there, but and Oregon, they have a new quarterback coming in as well, but he's really experienced, Dylan Gabriel. Coming from Oklahoma. He's
Yep.
at UCF before. I think he's the best player in college football. So, and the numbers you saw Bo Nix put up last year, I think he can definitely duplicate that. And yeah, it's really interesting to see. Texas returns a lot of people their quarterback, which is important for them. I'm not sure if Arch Manning will get a shot at some point this
Right.
year. And then Alabama's the most interesting to me there.
Kalen DeBoer.
He's a great coach. You see what he did in just a couple of years at Washington.
Right. Right.
And yeah, that'll be an interesting feel seeing someone different other than Nick Saban over on the sideline for Alabama. But yeah, they've obviously got the talent. So yeah, I'm curious to see where they go. I think those are probably top 5. You could probably put in Ole Miss. Michigan, it'll be interesting to see where they end up.
I think they're sitting at 8 and 9 respectively in both polls. I think they're 9 in AP and 8 in coaches.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it'll be interesting. New quarterback, new running. Like basically, a lot of their starters went to the NFL. You saw a lot of their guys get drafted this year. Quarterback going the first round. So, yeah, I think it's with the expanded playoff. It'll be interesting to see where things go. But yeah, I'd put Georgia up there. I'd put Oregon as probably the top 2 teams to beat. Going in with these new conference schedules, it'll be interesting.
Oh yeah. And hey, the Thunderbirds are at Rice Eccles Stadium on 8/29 against number 12 Utah, the Utes, at 7 p.m. Mountain and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I like where Coach Fitzgerald has our program at. I know that is a David and the Goliath thing. I think we're going to play well, though. I really do think that we're going to go up there and have a great showing. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think so as well. This will be Delane's 3rd year going in. In his first season there in 2022, his first game was going up to play Utah, and I think they were 7th that year going into the season, and he was going in with an entirely new roster, right? It was 7-7 at the end of the first quarter. It ended a little bit differently at the end of the game, but this year he's going in with a roster of guys, but experienced guys that he's worked with a couple years. Still a young program, only 12 seniors on the roster. A lot of sophomores and juniors, guys that he recruited and brought in. And their depth was an issue the last couple years, right? Where he was able to turn a 1-win team into a 5-win team. And last year got 6 wins. And I'm really excited for this upcoming season. Obviously, the Utah game is a challenge to start off, right? A team that's favored to get into the college football playoff for the Big 12. But yeah, it's about getting out healthy, right? And being competitive. And yeah, I'm excited to see where obviously our first game, we're on a Thursday night, which is exciting. First game of the year on ESPN Plus. So yeah, it's an exciting game. And then, yeah, we got a full 12 game schedule this year. A lot of FCS teams play 11. So we get an extra opportunity, right, to add to that win total.
To
So I'm
get
excited.
better. Absolutely. And the Thunderbirds will travel. The fans will travel. They will be there in droves because we have a great fan base. Last thing, Danny, before we go, what does faith or spiritualness mean to you, Danny?
Yeah. I grew up in a very religious household and family. The school that I went to, K through 12, was a private Christian school. Very small school, so a lot of the students that I graduated with, I knew for basically my whole life there. So it's always been an important piece of my life. And moving out to Utah, it's also a very religious environment. And so it's been a good opportunity for me to talk with people of other faiths, and kind of reestablish my spirituality that I have. And so my wife and I are spiritual, and so we both grew up in religious households, and so it's important to us, and it'll be important for us in our marriage as we move forward to have that an important piece of our relationship.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Danny. And you and Haley are a couple that I know that will make an impact in athletics, because she's going to be a head coach soon, right? I don't know how soon, but it's soon. She's going to be a head coach, and she's going to run a great program. And I believe that you two are going to ascend to higher heights. And then, I don't know, we haven't had that conversation if you aspire to be an AD, but when you do become an AD, come back and talk to me and be like, yo, say it, you told me back in the day. So
no, I appreciate that. No,
I think it's fantastic. The both of you in this business, coming together, former student athletes, coaching route, administration route. And I definitely believe that the Ferries are going to be a power couple inside of intercollegiate athletics. And Danny, I thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks, Dr. Brown. Yeah, appreciate it, Cedric. Appreciate you having me on. It was great topics to talk about, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I'd like to thank Mr. Danny Ferry for being on the show today. And as I wrap the show up, as I do all the time, I just want to think about another thing that we talk about: relationships. Relationships are so important, whether they're personal relationships, whether they are relationships, professional relationships. Find a way to find someone or find some individuals that you can serve, right? Because leadership is all about service and how you can serve others and how you can stand up on the shoulders of others and then have others stand on your shoulders. So it was a great opportunity to talk about these topics today. And again, if you haven't been able to get in contact, if you're in the Cedar City area, if you're in Utah, and you haven't been able to get in contact about athletics, please reach out to Danny Ferry at danielferry@suu.edu. And we'd love to have you all come and be a part of the Thunderbirds and what we're doing at Southern Utah University. You're watching From the AD's View. I'm your host, Dr. Cedric Brown. Good night and God bless.